Okay, so first things first. Hi, I'm Eileen, and I'm pregnant. This is my second pregnancy, and the first one didn't go as planned. And so far this one isn't either, and I've been bugged to vlog then and now, so I'm going to try. I am currently 13 weeks pregnant today, and I have an appointment. And we're gonna start the journey here, and I'm gonna take you along. Here's the bumpy, 13 weeks, and yeah, showing a lot faster this time around. So a little background about some complications I had. The first pregnancy with my son. So everything was fine until about 30 weeks was when I was made aware of a possible issue. He had stopped growing in the womb, and part of me was shocked, but also not shocked because I'm a small frame. There are smaller frames, but I'm tiny, and I only saw comments on how small I was. In pictures I would look big because of the angles, but I was very tiny. And so we had a follow-up appointment next week at 31 weeks. When we came back, they felt around, he was still feeling small. So that was concern number one. Then at usual checkups for OB appointments, they do a standard urine test and they check your blood pressure. So up until this point, I had low to normal blood pressure. I'm always before pregnancy, had low blood pressure. So she checked it, and guess it was high. She didn't tell me my numbers yet. She just said, oh, let me try your other arm. So we tried the other arm. Oh, okay, let's try a different machine. We went to a different room, tried a different machine on both arms again. So now I've done it 4 times. I went to all 6 rooms and done it twice per arm. And then she finally told me, okay, we have a problem. And so at this time, at this appointment, Eric's working, so my dad would take me to my appointments. So he tells me and my dad that my blood pressure is really spiked. And I think on that specific day, at that specific time, it was averaging around, what was it? 170 something for the top number, and over 100, I think 110 for the bottom number. And that's extremely high. And so she said, okay, I'm gonna call the hospital right now. Pretty much get whatever affairs in order because, like I said, Serenity was in daycare, Eric's working, so I had no one to pick her up. So I said, okay, I'll go straight to the hospital. Let me just pick her up. We'll go there and, whatever. And so we were driving, and I had to call my mom because I was panicking. And then she started panicking. We got my daughter, we went to the hospital. We had to wait a bit because, it's the actual birthing center, so there's lots of moms. You have to wait for an evaluation room, and then if you're admitted, you gotta wait for a room. So as we were waiting for that evaluation room, we finally got in. At this point, my mom came from work, and so my dad took Serenity home. And so I think I was there for maybe 6 hours at this point. I wasn't admitted yet, but I was on the NST machine, blood work, urine, all of that. And then they had to kick me out of the room. And so the nurses let me hang out in their nursing room with my mom. And also how old was I? I was 20 at the time, so I was young. So I think that's why they were extra nice with me. So at that point, I was starving, so we went to get food. And they're like, you know what? You have to be admitted. And I'm like, oh shit. So luckily, because I was still like, you know, young, I was under my parents' insurance. Sorry, mom brain, pregnancy brain. I was under their insurance. And so I was covered, so I'm like, okay, I want a private room because I don't like people. So we got a private room, and they said, okay, you're gonna be admitted for a week, and we'll see what happens. So the next day, I like meet the doctor, we check my blood pressure, it's still high. And so now I start, I don't remember what it's called, but I start a medication, and I had to take 2 every 3 hours. And I took that for maybe 4 days in now, every 3 hours. And then the doctor came in, and this is when like I started getting really scared, because at this point he's like, okay, so the one thing I can for sure tell you is that your baby is coming early. No matter what, your baby is coming early. So I'm like, oh my god, okay. So that's one thing. I'm like, I have high blood pressure, and you're telling me not to stress, but you're telling me that. So that's number 1. 2 was, I needed to get, what was it? It's either 1 shot a day or 2 shots a day for 2 days of steroid injections for my son's lungs. And those were painful, I was sore. So yeah, so I got those at the 31 weeks, like during my 31 weeks. And at that moment, after all of that, they gave me a choice. They said, we can take him out right now at 31 weeks so he can grow, because he was, I call it IGUR, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's short form, IGUR. That's what he was, because he was like small and not growing. So because of that and my blood pressure, it was very dangerous for him to be in my womb. So I can either take him out at 31 weeks, and this was before the injection, I should have mentioned that, without his lungs being ready, or I can be monitored pretty much like the whole time. That way, if he needed to come out like that I was there, he was coming out. But I took him as long as I possibly could, and it was safe enough to have his lungs develop without my blood pressure causing any issues. So I chose that clearly. So I was discharged. I think I spent 6 days in the hospital. And so we went home, and they were supposed to send me with medication, but they didn't. Like, I guess they forgot. I didn't want to mention it because like maybe they changed their mind, I don't know. So I just didn't say anything. We went home. And so I think I stayed home for 2 days until I started feeling funny. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't want to wait and get in the hospital, but at this point, I probably should, because they told me, you know, I might lose my son, he's coming early, do I really want to gamble with it? So we went back, and it was fine. So, they were debating again, like, oh, should we keep you? Should we run more tests? The nurse actually saw me again come back, like, you're back? I'm like, yeah, I'm back. And so they checked for me, they checked my urine if I had protein in it, which I didn't, which would have been a sign of preeclampsia, but I didn't have that. I just had high blood pressure. And so I was admitted again. And during the second time, while I was waiting in the evaluation room with the NST machine, there were like some characters. Let me tell you, there were some characters. And me and my dad, because there's like a curtain like this separating me and whatever other person on the other side. And I'll tell you a funny story. This person was like brought in an ambulance, and she was cussing and screaming, and they're like, ma'am, you're only a centimeter dilated, you're not having your baby right now, you need to, you know, whatever. And I haven't given birth yet, this is my first time, I'm early. So I'm like, fuck, it's gonna hurt that bad. It's only 1 centimeter and it's gonna hurt that bad. And I was like, so lips and balls, while at the same time me and my dad were trying to like stay quiet and not laugh. Because it was pretty funny. And then we finally got into a room. This time they didn't have a private room yet, so I was in a semi-private room, so with one other person, but there was no one there, so I just had an extra large room by myself. And I was there for a day by myself, because my mom was working, my husband was working, and my dad had to watch Serenity, and I didn't want him in the hospital. And I'm like, whatever, I have my phone. That day, I was scheduled for an ultrasound, because I got 3 ultrasounds every week, and then an extra long one every 2 weeks, which was a growth scan. And so they don't let you walk down, even though I was capable of walking to the ultrasound department. So this older nurse put me in the wheelchair and went so fast out the door that she slammed me into the door. Like, completely slammed me into the door. And the previous nurse of mine saw. She didn't do anything. I was like, what the fuck? And so I just said, you know, I tried to keep calm. And the whole time she's walking into the ultrasound department, she's hitting the wall. I'm like, oh my god, like, I just want to walk. I get there, I have to wait so long. I do the ultrasound. I have someone else bring me back up, thank goodness. So I'm now in my room by myself. She then proceeds to put the NST machine on me. Wrong. And she's like, why is this not working? So she left, and I fixed it because, like I said, I've been in the hospital now. I did all that machine religiously. I knew where to place it, how to place it properly. And she came back, she's like, oh, it's working now. And I'm just like, So at this point, I was like, okay, I'm screwed. And so I call my mom in tears, like, in tears. I'm like, she ran me into a wall, she doesn't even know what she's doing. And so my mom talked to her boss, and she was like able to stay with me the whole time I was in the hospital and work from there. So my mom came, and I felt better. We were in that room still alone for, I think, another day until a private room became available. And so then I was in that one at the end of my 2nd week being there. And then from there, I was in that room until, so now I'm like 32 weeks. 32 weeks and maybe 4 days. I was in that room until maybe $35 weeks and maybe 2 days. So the whole time I was in there, I had to take the medication every 3 hours, was monitored every 3 hours, checked baby's heartbeat every 3 hours, so I was like waking up in the middle of the night a few times. I constantly had an NST machine on my stomach. I had to cancel my baby shower, and then I was started leaking fluid. And so I'm like, fuck, is that my water ruptured? And it wasn't, I just had an infection, which I took care of that. But at that point, my husband was like very irritated. Because I'm like, we're living in a hospital, him and my mom are taking turns sleeping on a uncomfortable little couch. And we're still not getting answers. Like, when you're told that, when you're told that you have high blood pressure and your baby's in serious danger, but you still don't know when we're gonna take the baby out, that's scary. And then it's like being in jail in the hospital. There's not much I could do. And like, me and my husband would sneak out of the hospital. Like, I would be having my band on me, sometimes in a wheelchair, and we would sneak a few blocks down to a bakery or something, because I just couldn't be there anymore. I was miserable. And so that day that we checked and pap smear again, all those tests, he was like angry. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go home and get medical advice. at that point, what weekend was it? It was a weekend of a holiday or something, I don't know. But we went home. So I went home on a Friday. Yeah, and I came in on a Monday. Not for an NST, but an ultrasound. So that was like my growth scan. And on that Monday, they sent me to see my doctor to follow up from the ultrasound. And so he checked down there, and he's like, oh, the word he used was, you're right. I'm like, oh, I'm right. And I'm like, okay, what's that mean? It's like, it's time for baby. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was with, who was I with? I was either by myself or with Eric. With my dad, like, coming to pick us up later. I can't remember, honestly, it's been so long. But, yeah, so at that point, they're like, okay, how do you want to do it? Do you want C-section or inducement? I'm like, C-section. I didn't want a C-section, but my aunt and my mom were saying to take it just because it was safer, because I was told I can't withstand a long labor and delivery for myself and for my son, and that if something went wrong, he might not be able to make it and I might have complications. So I was scared of that. So it's kind of like a no-brainer decision. So I said, okay, I'll have a C-section. So they were going to try and get one for that evening, and that was the Monday. They couldn't get one. So they scheduled one the next day on the Tuesday for, it was either scheduled for 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Can't remember. But whichever one it was scheduled for, I had prepped 3 hours before, so 12 or 3. And so time went on, and you know, no one's coming to get me. I'm still on the NSC machine. And let me tell you, guess who my nurse was that day? The same one who ran me into a wall. And I was like, of course that would be my fucking luck. And so it's like maybe 2 hours behind schedule now. We're not even told it's behind schedule or why. And this other nurse came to steal my NST machine for someone else. And then she's like looking at my charts. She's like, do you know that you're having contractions? I'm like, I am. I just thought, you know, whatever, Braxton Hicks, who knows. Because like I said, I was right. I did not know if I was dilated yet. My water did not break, none of that. And so they're like, yeah, let me go get the doctor. So they get a doctor. They check how far I'm dilated. I'm almost 4 centimeters dilated now. And in active labor. And if you remember what I said earlier, there was a woman screaming in pain about 1 centimeter, and I'm almost 4 centimeters and did not even know. And so they're like, okay, well, you can't have a C-section. You're gonna have to deliver vaginally. And if you see my mom's face, she like died. And so I got moved to the birthing room, and they waited until I was actually 4 centimeters to go ahead and break my water. And that's when it really kicked in. That's when I'm like, okay, shit, I'm in labor. And at this point, I'm already exhausted because I was starved for the C-section. I had no food, I'm tired. Now the contractions are kicking in. And yeah. And so I took a shower to relieve some pain. I was gushing out blood. I'm not gonna hold anything back. This is like transparency. And so I tried bouncing on the ball. And at that point I was like, fuck this. I am like, I can't do this. Not because like I couldn't handle the pain, but because I was so hungry. I was like, not even coherent. I was like not here. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna get the epidural. So at 6 centimeters, I'm like, okay, just get me the epidural. So they got me the epidural, I got it, and then they allowed me to eat Jello. So I stuffed like 3 of them down my mouth, and then I started feeling tired and woozy, so I took a nap. And then I woke up a bit, I was still hungry. I was angry, and I demanded Eric to get McDonald's so him and my mom could eat in front of me so I could smell it. So then he did that. And then I went back to sleep, and the only times I woke up throughout my labor was when I was being checked the progress of my dilation. And so at 3:05, she checked me and she's like, okay, you're ready. And so we woke up my mom and Eric, and at 3:09 we started pushing. So I only had maybe 20 minutes of pushing, and I couldn't feel my legs. So I had Eric holding one leg, my left leg, and I had my mom holding my right leg with the nurse all up in my vagina. And so my mom decided to leave because she was nauseous and was gonna pass out. And she literally didn't say anything. She just dropped my leg and dipped. And I was like, what the fuck? And so now the nurse had to have one hand holding my leg and the other hand in my vagina. And then my mom comes back and she's like at the feet of me, so just looking at me, and her face is like, and so I'm only pushing 20 minutes, and I was laughing while pushing because I didn't feel pain or anything. I felt pressure but no pain. And I kept laughing because I would run out of breath for my third push, and I couldn't get a third push out. And then at the 20-minute mark, she's like, okay, wait here. And I kid you not, 10 people came in. And my blood pressure was going up, it was beeping. They told me my son was in distress and he's stuck. And so this was my mom's worst nightmare. She's like freaking out, wanting to kill someone. So they tried to forceps him out. Didn't work, wasn't budging. So they cut me, tried again with the forceps, didn't work. So they then forceps. So at that point, I'm cut a 2nd degree episiotomy, and then forcepsing wasn't working. So they had to forceps and vacuum him out. They finally got him out after a tug of war, and I have blood apparently squirting everywhere. And my mom was ready to strangle her, but Mason came out, wiped out, crying, and he was here. And so, also if you hear him, he's invading, pooping, and peeing. So yeah, he was out. I got to hold him. We started breastfeeding while they delivered my placenta and stitched me up. Felt nothing. We had trouble latching because he was so small, and I have big boobs to begin with, and then they get bigger in pregnancy, so it was just so big for him. So I think at that point I was 36 double D, and he was 4 pounds 1 ounce. We struggled, but we managed to get it. I think we tried for half an hour, and then they had to take him to the NICU. Just poop. So they had to take him to the NICU because his blood sugar was low. And so they took him, and I went back to my room. And so I couldn't see him anymore. I had to just sleep. So he was out in half an hour, so 3:39, he was born in the morning at 36 weeks exactly. And so I woke up at 8 a.m. and I woke up to Earth, and I'm like, let's go.
One time when I go down to room, and I woke up Grandpa.
Yeah, okay. Poop. Remember, you have to be quiet. I'm telling a story. You just poop. And so we went over there, and I got to see him in the little incubator, and they're like, you want to hold him? I'm like, no. And they're like, no. I'm like, no. Do you see how tiny he is? I don't want to hurt him. Because at that point, water weight dropped, and so now he was 3 pounds 7 ounces. And so they're like, don't be scared. I'm like, okay. So I started trying to breastfeed again, because he was so tiny, and I wasn't very successful with latching. I pumped a lot, and to give him extra calories in my breast milk, we would put 1 or 2 scoops of formula in, and that's how we fed him. And I would always try breastfeeding first. And so then the next day we got to bathe him, I learned how to change diapers, and so we did the car seat test. We were only in there for 8 days. We got... He was born on the 6th, and we left on the 14th, which was my birthday. I was now 21. And so, yeah. I remember the first time being discharged and having to go home without him. I cried my eyes out. I went into the shower and I just bawled my eyes out. Like, it doesn't matter if you're separated for a day, a week, a month, a year. The pain you feel, regardless, you shouldn't have to feel it. But then when we got home, I'm like, I want no visitors. I want to have my birthday with him and my little family alone. I wanted no one. So then I got referred. I had my first appointment at 9 weeks. I didn't know how far along I was because I couldn't go based on my period. I didn't know which day I conceived, so I had to wait for an ultrasound. Luckily that day, there was a space available, and so they got me in, and I found out I was 9 weeks. And so I knew it was literally one of the first 3 days of us trying that it happened, which I was like, mind blown. And I didn't think I was going to be that far along. Like, probably happened in the end. I'm probably like 6-7 weeks, but no. I had high blood pressure from 9 weeks. So I'm on aspirin every day to like monitor that and keep it low, as well as progesterone vaginally every day till birth to help prevent another preterm labor, since I did technically go into labor preterm on my own. And yeah, 2 weeks ago, that's 11 weeks, to check the fluid around the head, to see if there are any, like, I guess, early signs of Down syndrome. So I have that. I don't know if my genetics results are back, but I am waiting on those. They should be here soon. And then, yeah, I have my anatomy scan on January 7th, which is 2 days before I move to Calgary. But I want to see if I can get one at either 16 or 17 weeks, so middle of December or 3rd week in December, because I want to have a gender reveal if possible, because I never had a baby shower the first time and I'm not having one this time. So I just want to do something. If not, I don't know. If I can't, I'm debating about if I want to know the gender or not. I'm probably going to cave in and find out, because I'm an impatient person, but I am always seduced by that feeling I feel like I would get when I birth the baby and they say, oh, it's a boy, oh, it's a girl. Like, I imagine that, I'm like, I want that, and this is my last child. I'm a boy and a girl. So it's like, surprise tiebreaker baby. But yeah, so after that, I will fill you in. Bye.